What's up guys, I'm CandidCrandell and today I'm talking about Pretty Little Liars Season 4 Episode 22, Cover For Me. Spencer's back from rehab. Apparently she spent like 3 days there. And in typical Spencer fashion, she's feeling very snarky when she gets home. I was so comfortable kicking my drug habit. Arya is dealing with her feelings over this whole Ezra debacle by getting drunk at a college party and making out with a random boy. Because that worked out really well last time he did it in a college bar with a boy. Spencer's parents have hired a drug and alcohol abuse counselor to come and stay in the barn and essentially babysit Spencer 24/7. Wah wah. And Spencer has to give over all of her electronics to her mother. I feel like at this point when any of the girls gets their cell phone or computer taken away that they should maybe be kind of like relieved because that means that they're not going to have to see the A text messages. I would kind of look forward to that. My favorite Spencer line from the entire episode: if you're handing out apologies, I would love one from you. Things are tense in the House of Hastings. Spencer has to pee in a cup for her drug and alcohol abuse counselor. Awkward. Arya is officially in Syracuse to check out the campus. Her dad has no idea about the whole Ezra thing. I get why she needed to get away, and I think it's good that she went to somewhere where her dad is, but you can't run away forever, Arya. Arya's new guy is named Riley. As for whether or not I prefer him or Ezra, I don't think you should even ask me that, because that's not even a legitimate question. Riley is a perfectly nice young man, I am sure, but he's not Ezra, and I don't have any interest in him. Person that she randomly met this week versus someone that she's been with for several years, I'm gonna go with the person that she's been with for several years because they have an actual foundation for a relationship. And I still have hope for Ezra. Ezra's back in Rosewood being a creeper, watching Mona and Mike argue in the hallway. Apparently Mona was the one to dump Mike. This is significant. We'll get to that. Emily's confrontation scene with Ezra was the best freaking thing I've ever seen on this show. It was so gratifying. After so many seasons of whoever this is messing with them and hurting people that are close to them, I really enjoyed getting to see one of the liars confront someone that they think is actually behind all of this. I really enjoyed how quiet Ezra was throughout the whole thing. Yep, I know that I deserve pretty much everything you're saying to me right now. Although he does say that he would love to talk to Emily about this, but not in the classroom. And I think Emily is right not to trust him. There's an assignment due today, but I won't be staying for the class. Could you make sure a real teacher gets this? Ooh, Emily! Oh, that was the best, best. Because even if Ezra isn't A, him becoming a teacher at that school as a means of getting information for his book is creepy and not okay, and he still had the cameras, so you know what? He deserved that. Oh, that was so good. Hannah apologizes to Detective Holbrook about the kiss, which is a good thing because that was totally inappropriate. Do not go there, Hannah. Holbrook shows Hannah the note that Paige left anonymously in a police car. Obviously, Hannah doesn't recognize it because she didn't write it, but apparently Holbrook thought that maybe Hannah did write it. That is eventually gonna get back to Paige, I feel like, because I don't think she really disguised her handwriting. I don't think she thought about that, especially with a case that involves murder and you're saying that the victim is alive. They're probably gonna wanna know where that came from, and they would probably do a handwriting sample on that. She should have pulled an Ezra and gotten a typewriter. Just a thought. I was like okay with Riley until he said his guitar Antonio needed some air, and Arya's like, oh, you named your guitar? And he's like, I like to think that he named himself. Stop. I'm done. Arya says that she likes to write, but she's not even sure about that anymore. Arya, don't let this whole thing with Ezra burn you. Beat the sucker at his own game and write your own dang book. Your book would be way better than his. I would totally read it. The dirt in Spencer's bed? Ooh! That creeped me out for several reasons. Whoever brought it in got in without being noticed and like brought the dirt in from outside. Two, as like a neat freak, seeing all of that dirt on clean sheets just like made my skin crawl. The note inside says, I know you dug her grave, now I'm digging yours. Kisses, A. What the Oh, that's so creepy. Does no one in Rosewood lock their doors? Like, do they not have an alarm system? The Hastings are friggin' rich. They're the richest ones. Like, why is it so easy to get into Spencer's house? Travis asks Hannah on a date, and it's adorable, and it's a nice little reprieve from all of the relationship craziness that's happening for everyone else. Emily asks Hannah if she's ready to go on a date, and Hannah says that she's ready, that she just hopes nothing crazy happens between now and then. Hannah, you pretty much just jinxed it. When are things ever not crazy in Rosewood? Detective Holbrook and Lieutenant Tanner confront Hannah on the street and ask her about the note. They try to good cop, bad cop her. Doesn't work. Tanner is threatening to get a handwriting sample and says that it'll be really easy to match it to Hannah's, except it won't be really easy to match it to Hannah's because Hannah didn't write it. Holbrook mentions that he thinks the note was legit. Lieutenant Tanner says that he is alone in that theory. That means that he's really the only one that might pursue it, which could be to Allison's benefit, but who really knows at this point? Mrs. De Laurentiis comes over to the Hastings house and literally says, "May I come in?" while she walks into the house. Okay, Jessica, sure, yeah, you can come in. What if they had said, like, no, actually you can't, we're kinda busy right now? She would have been standing there awkwardly in the Hastings living room and been like, okay, well, I'll just go back out the door then that I already came through. Spencer and Mrs. De Laurentiis get to have a little conversation. She mentions that the charity bridal show is for a good cause, that it helps feed starving children because no mother should ever have to watch her child die. Okay, Jessica. Spencer feels a little awkward about this, and so she's like, you know what, I'm just gonna go to bed and get some sleep. And Mrs. De Laurentiis says the creepiest thing ever. Nothing beats a good night's sleep on a fresh set of sheets. Last night there was dirt all over Spencer's sheets, and she made that comment about it? Creepy. Riley decides to go home to talk to his parents about going to Berkeley. Good for you, Riley. Pursue your dreams on the other coast. Spencer has a flashback while she is running with Dean because she sees a shovel. In the flashback, she is chasing Allie through the woods holding the shovel, and when Allie trips, she hits her with the shovel and there's blood all over her face. I just have a really hard time believing, even if Spencer was that angry at Allie, that she would have actually hit her over the head with a shovel, and if she did, it would not have been enough to splatter blood. Allie is alive. We know this to be true, so Spencer cannot have killed Allison. Spencer can't bring herself to tell Dean what she thinks she did, which is probably good because I really don't think that she should be going around saying to anyone that she thinks she killed Allison De Laurentiis. She needs to kind of keep that on the DL because she doesn't remember, and you don't want to say things like that and set things in motion in Rosewood where the cops don't know anything. Dean gives Spencer a letter from Toby that is postmarked from London. What? That's sketchy because Ren and Melissa are in London. And I want to know what that note says. Hannah and Travis are on their date and Mrs. De Laurentiis interrupts, and it is like really, really weird and awkward. And she looks at Travis like she knows him. As Mrs. De Laurentiis is walking off, Lieutenant Tanner and Detective Holbrook approach her and say that they need to talk to her. What about? Probably that anonymous note that says that her daughter is running around alive somewhere. Arya goes to Ezra's place to talk to him. He's cleaning up the mess that she made, and he doesn't make any mention of the mess, which is probably for the best. Mona found out about Ezra's book around the time that she bought Jenna's car. That seems significant for some reason, but I'm not entirely sure why. It makes me think that Ezra has something to do with Jenna as well. Mona says that she didn't want to help Ezra with his little tattletale. She wanted to stop it, at least the parts about her that could get her put in jail. So she agreed to help Ezra and tell him about her exploits in exchange for him editing out anything that was less than legal that she did. Emily asks Mona if she read anything about Allie in the book, and Mona says that Ezra only let her see the parts that were about her. She didn't get to see any other parts of the book, so Mona hasn't even read the whole thing. Mona says to Emily, if Allie were alive, I'm sure she'd love being the focus of a scandalous page-turner. So what that says to me is that Mona doesn't know that Allie's alive. Ezra hasn't clued Mona in on that yet, probably for a reason, because it seems like at this point only the people that Allie wants to know that she's still alive know. So if Ezra knows that she's alive, it's probably because she let him know, right? Apparently, Mona broke up with Mike to protect him. She was really falling for him and had legitimate feelings for him, but did not want him to get involved in this whole mess. Ezra is taking a leave of absence from teaching at Rosewood, but Arya tells him that he needs to leave town for good. Woo, Arya, standing up to Ezra. She's like, I don't want to see you in the grocery. I don't want to see you when I go to get coffee. I don't want to hear from you. I don't want to speak to you. Ezra says to Arya that they can work through this, and Arya says that she doesn't want to. I think he really does want to be with Arya, and I am still crossing my fingers, and I still think there's hope. Arya is angry right now. Give her time. Mona tells Emily that someone stole the game from her when she was in Radley. She thought it was Cece, but she never knew for sure. Ezra thinks that he knows who that person is. Ezra gives Arya a full copy of his manuscript and says that he really thinks she should read it. There's some information that he found in there that he thinks could help the girls. Also, I was in New York pulling the plug on the book. So I was right about that. Yay, I'm happy. I think he was honest when he said that if Arya didn't want him to publish the book, that he wouldn't. That his relationship with her matters more than the book, which is saying something, especially to someone who is an aspiring writer. This was like his big shot, and he was fine throwing that all away to be with Arya. Arya agrees to take the manuscript, which I think is very smart, because even if she doesn't want to read it, give it to Spencer, give it to Emily, give it to Hannah, give it to somebody, but take that shit. Don't you leave evidence ever again. Also, I kind of think the fact that she takes it is the first step towards Arya taking Ezra back. Just saying. Arya gets home and decides to read Ezra's book. As tough as it might be for her, I think that he's giving it to her for a reason, and if there was something in it that would forever change the way that she looks at him, I don't think he would give it to her. If he was the one that was guilty of hurting Allison, he would not give her that book, and he wouldn't have written it in the first place, because who would write a book about them committing a murder? A really twisted person. Oh God, I hope that's not what's happening. Hannah notices a blue envelope pinned to Emily's corkboard, and she recognizes the handwriting, I think, and she asks how long it's been there. And Emily's like, oh, it's from Paige from like a while ago. I think that Hannah is starting to put together the pieces. Yay, Detective Hannah. I love Detective Hannah. She's my favorite. Arya comes in and tells the girls that she finished reading all of Ezra's manuscript and there is something major in it. Ezra thinks that A is Allie's mom. I know what you're thinking. Probably the same thing as Hannah. How old is she? Does she even know how to text? Remember when Emily's house got hit by that car and they never figured out who it was, and then like Mrs. De Laurentiis just happened to invite Emily and her mom to come stay at her house? If Mrs. De Laurentiis was A, that would be a fantastic opportunity for her to have one of the liars in her own home, right in her claws. Ugh, scary, creepy, creepy. I'm interested as to what was happening in that house, because I feel like a big part of it could be that Allison was running away from her mom. A's been telling the girls to stop going after Allie because they think that A wants Allie to come home. Their question is, why would Mrs. De Laurentiis think that the girls were in the way of Allison coming home? Spencer decides to tell the girls about her flashbacks and about how she thinks she might have been the one who hurt Allie. Emily points out a very crucial fact that Allison is alive, and so she can't have been the one who killed her. Emily says that the only person who knows what really happened is Allison, and Spencer points out that she's not here to help now, is she? Hannah asks Emily if she told Paige that Allie was alive. Spencer sneaks back into her house and Veronica Hastings is pissed off and thinks she was out looking for drugs. Spencer confronts her mom and begs her to tell her what her parents covered for her that summer because she legitimately can't remember. And the only thing that her mom says, consider it a blessing that you don't remember. What does that mean? If I were Spencer, I would just say to my mom, right now in my head, I'm thinking that I might have killed someone. So did I do that? Did I do something that bad? Or is it less bad than that? Because if you're gonna tell me that it's less bad than that, then yeah, I guess I'll stop worrying about it and stop asking about it. But I kinda wanna know if I killed someone. Spencer is up in her room. There's no dirt in her bed, thankfully. She sees the light in Allison's room turn on. Ugh. So she goes up to the window to look and see what's there, and no one is in the window. But behind her is Mrs. De Laurentiis. Is it actually Mrs. De Laurentiis, or is it a hallucination for Spencer? I don't know. Bottom line is that Mrs. De Laurentiis is being creepy, and it wouldn't be out of the realm of possibility for her to be sneaking around up there, especially if she's the one that already put dirt in Spencer's bed. We see whoever the figure in the black hood and leather gloves is working on a wedding dress. And from the previews, I've noticed that it seems to be Spencer's dress. Are we to assume then that that is their way of telling us that the person in the black could has been Jessica De Laurentiis all along, or is whoever that person is involved with the event and sending in the dresses. Let me know down in the comments what you thought of this week's episode, and if you have any Pretty Little Liars theories of your own, I would love to discuss them with you. If you don't already, you can follow me on Twitter, Tumblr, Blogspot, and Instagram, username CandidCrandell. I put up videos every Tuesday and Thursday on my channel, so make sure you subscribe so you don't miss any of them. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see you again on Tuesday. Bye!